Fishing trips anywhere, anytime. FishingBooker.com.
Explore historic waterways in 2025 with Scenic on the most inclusive cruise on Europe's rivers. Enjoy up to 5 dining experiences, spacious suites, and butler service. Be immersed in the culture with enriching free choice excursions and exclusive events. Scenic, in a class of its own. Book now and save.
USAA knows dynamic duos can save the day, like superheroes and sidekicks or auto and home insurance. With USAA, you can bundle your auto and home and save up to 10%. Learn more and get a quote at usaa.com/bundle. Restrictions apply.
This is episode 293 on the books, dude. It's actually a really good one. We're super excited. We have Jon on. I'm not even gonna butcher his last name. You can try it. What do you know what it is, Steve?
No.
No. Okay.
I don't even know what I'm looking at.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
No.
So, this is your boy East Coast Trev, and I'm joined with the madman himself.
What up?
What up? I didn't know what was coming out. You were like, you were going.
I didn't know when you were going to stop talking to give me a chance to say, what up?
Okay. I stopped. Is that good?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, what have you been up to, man? We're coming down to the wire here. Some states are starting to close down in the turkey woods. It's been tough. How was the Rhode Island little get together with Big Man Polk with the casting blast?
I gotta try to remember, dude. It was like feels like it was so long ago. It was good. Sean did not punch a tag, but dude, we were like on birds every day. I want to say we didn't hunt together Saturday morning, but he was on birds. They were like just off public, and he just couldn't. They just didn't want to play the game right. And then Saturday night we roosted some birds, and it was like one of those things. Like every spot we hit was like nothing. And the last spot we were gonna hit that owl call, dude, and 2 birds gobbled. We're like, we're in the game, baby. Let's go. Pinned them. Moved. We had like a really good game plan. I thought like the terrain set up perfect, access was perfect. Got in there, and I said, I don't think we should push in all the way down to where that roost is. I think we should stay up high. We'll sit down and set up, but we'll wait for first gobble, and then we can assess the situation. Right? Like if we feel like we can move in closer, we will. If not, we'll just try to kill them where we're at. Let me tell you what. It's a good thing we did because we sat down and like 5 o'clock on the dot, the first gobble hits, and it's like 70 yards to our right. And we both look at each other like, what? Like, that's not where we had that bird pinned. Like, not even close. Well, it was other birds because finally the bird that we set up on gobbled. And it ended up being like a pile of jakes and one longbeard. And it was hard to tell for sure. But that longbeard stayed in that tree forever. And I think, it was a lot of jakes, dude. And I think that longbeard just did not want to come down to get his ass kicked. Because when he finally came down, he just like, whoop, was gone. And we screwed around with those jakes for a little while. At one point, they did pop their head up. 3 of them popped their head up. Well in range. Sean didn't shoot. Like, without seeing beards that were like 99% sure they were jakes. So gave them the pass, and that was pretty much the wrap for the Rhode Island season. But it was a good morning, dude. Like lots of gobbles, lots of action. It was fun. Good time. Yeah. It was good to see that many birds on public on the last day of the season too.
Which is good. That's super. So I had hunted like wicked far north of you guys, and dude, it was tough. I had a really hard time finding a gobble. Like, I just could not make it happen. And I did a ton of miles on the road. Even to the point, dude, I hunted 3 or 4 different places. It was 9:30 in the morning. I texted a buddy of mine, Al, and literally he's like, yo, just go hunt my private. I'm like, what? He's like, go hunt my private. So he sends me the pin. I'm like, dude, it's 45 minutes away. He's like, I'm like, you sure? He's like, yeah, go. It's 300 and something acres. I went all the way to his private, ran the whole entire private, all throughout the mountains, this, that, and the other thing, and still didn't hear a gobble. And I was like, I threw up the white flag, dude. I'm like, you know what? I'm going home, dude. This is just like, it was that Maryland thing, right? You like come around the corner, you're like, all right, yep. I'm definitely not gonna hear nothing gobble. Yep. I'm definitely not gonna hear anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, just drains everything that you have in you out, dude. And it was hot, dude. It was stupid hot. I don't know. I just had the worst luck this year, man. I don't know what is going on. I don't know. It's probably closest to the worst turkey season I've ever had in my life. Hands down.
I was joking around about that with Sean late Sunday because it gets to the point where, like, earlier in the morning, you're more likely to like park the truck and walk a trailhead in and cut and run. As it gets later in the day, it's like you don't really want to leave the truck unless there's a bird there, right? Like, I don't know if it's laziness or just like trying to be more efficient with your time. But so it was like later in the day with a 1 o'clock cutoff. So we're just like running roads trying to strike something from the road, and it's so funny because like early in the day, it's like you pull up, you park the truck, you turn the truck off, you both get out, walk to the front of the truck, hit the call again, you get back in the truck, you drive down the road. You probably do that a handful of times. Then you get to the point where you shut the truck off, you open up the door, and you like stand on the side steps and like call over the roof of the truck, and you listen, and then there's nothing. And then you do that 5 or 6 times. And eventually you get to the point where like you don't even want to get out of the truck. You're just like calling out the window. Like you're just like slowly giving up, not expecting to hear shit. But you're like, well, we still got a half an hour, so we're going to keep calling at nothing. But just roll the window down and stick the call out the window.
That or you're doing rock, paper, scissors shoots to see who has to get out and call because you don't even want to get out of the truck.
Yeah,
like it's just
I think we were one spot away from I was just going to start blowing the horn again.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I mean, I understand that we're hunting very highly pressured birds and it's tough and it is what it is, but it's just like, it's so like defeating, bro. It's defeating because like, it's not that it was a wasted season or it was a tough season, right? But like, like it's just like those points in it, you're just like, there was a lot of mishaps throughout the season or stupid things that like, you're in birds, but it just didn't happen, or the wind. Like, dude, weather itself, like
weather was terrible this year, yeah.
Like acts of God, like were the worst thing that throughout the whole entire season that made it tough. So hopefully we're coming into the 9th inning here, and we just keep punching tags and keep grinding, dude. Like you can't get upset about it. You can't get mad. I was so close so many times, dude. I could have shot a bird. I could have shot could have punched my second Connecticut tag at a bird that was 55 yards. But, like, that's not, I don't know. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, you want to stump them and make it happen, right? Like, I don't know. It's just, it is what it is. I'm not upset. I'm not mad. I learned. It's good. It's another long beard for next year. There's a couple of them out there. So it's not over yet, though. It just sucks for Rhode Island. Rhode Island it's been becoming my arch nemesis, dude.
Yeah,
because
I don't know why, dude. Rhode Island's been great to me.
Thousands of miles, hundreds of dollars in gas, 2 years of hunting that stupid fucking state, and I cannot punch a tag up there, dude.
It's wild. It's funny, though. It's like how it can be like so different where it's like 2 years of ass kicking, and I'm like, dude, Rhode Island's easy. You just show up and just kill a bird in an hour.
I know.
It's weird.
And I've covered the entire state, hunted every piece of public. Like, I just don't. I don't know. It is what it is.
It's crazy. No, you reminded me of this, telling your public land story. Saturday morning, I hunted Connecticut private land with a good friend of mine. I always at least get one turkey hunt in with him on his private. Lots of great memories there. I've killed birds there or watched him kill birds. At least one bird a year for sure, right? So, well, like, yeah, and I haven't really hunted with them this year because I've been running all over the whole New England chasing birds, right? And I feel bad, right? Like I can't like leave the homies, like gotta get it in, right? So like, yeah, all right, for sure. Like we'll make it work. Even though Sean was here and we camped out in Rhode Island Saturday. I'm like, I'll get up Saturday morning, leave Rhode Island, come back hunt with you. Like, it's got to happen, right? So we didn't roost the night before. It's a private farm. Like, we've killed enough birds there. Like, we pretty much know what's going on for the most part, right? So we meet at the spot we're walking in, and we're like, you know, the birds are, they're either going to be roosted here to the right, or they're going to be roosted over to the left over here. So why don't we just set up here in the middle? We'll face this field here. All right. Sounds, from what I know of the farm, it sounds like it should work, right? So we're set up, we're sitting there, and it was a little late, dude. It was like, I bet you it was pushing 5:15 and hadn't heard a gobble yet. Like, to the point where I'm like, why is there nothing gobbling? Like, this is weird, right? And all of a sudden, this bird hammers, dude, and he's like 40 yards from us, over our head, behind us. And the same thing, we both look at each other like, shit. Like, he should have either been like 140 to the right or 140 to the left, not shitting on top of us. And well, like, we're jammed. Like, I don't even know what we're gonna do. We just kind of have to sit there and play it out, see what he does. Like, where's he gonna? How's he gonna pitch down? Which way is he gonna pitch down?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't like what.
Steve's least favorite thing.
Huh?
Steve's least favorite thing of being too close to a bird on the roost.
Yeah, and behind me too, right? So, so it's pretty cool interaction. There was a hen out in front of us. She was roosted by herself in a giant oak tree in the middle of a field. Like, this oak tree is like growing out of the stone wall, all by itself, just a lone oak tree in the middle of nowhere. And he did not gobble at her yelping. She would respond to his gobble with yelp. So every time he'd gobble on his own, she'd cut him off. Yelp, 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 yelp. And then nothing. And the next time he'd gobble, yelp, 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 yelp. I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And I'm like, I guess this is good because we're kind of in between him and her. So how's this going to play out? Like, is he going to pitch down towards her? He might land right in front of me. I don't know, right?
Hopefully.
Dude, this hen pitches down onto the stone wall. She lands on the stone wall. She hops off the stone wall, goes through about, 10 yards of like pretty high hay into the tilled garden. I say garden, but it is a pretty large plot of tilled, freshly tilled dirt. Walks out into that open, starts yelping the whole way. She walks right at me, yelping, walks right past me up the farm road over my shoulder, pretty much gets to the base of the tree that gobbler's in. And he hops down, lands next door, and they both walked away, going the other way. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, serious?
That's how it works.
We made a move on him. We spotted him again in the corner of a field, like heading into the hardwoods, and like he was following her into the woods. And like, I'll be honest with you, like, I didn't even call to him. Like, I just watched him walk away, and gave him a little bit of time, and figured we could strike him back up again in a little while. But never heard him gobble again. And I didn't give him a ton of time either. Like, I think we pulled the plug on that property by like 9:30, and I headed back to Rhode Island to link up with Sean. But it was like, dude, how can you be that close? And like, just to watch the way it played out and watch them walk off out of your life is like, you can't make that up.
And that's how that happens. But it's typically 150 yards away from you, and you never see it, and you're always like, he was gobbling, but then he got out of the tree and he didn't make any noise. But you can't hear the hen. But like, you're like, fuck.
For being a not successful hunt, it was like pretty cool experience. Like, I was like in the perfect spot to like learn some shit. Like, I got to see a pretty cool interaction, like vocally, and I got to watch everything that happened and how it happened. And like you said, it starts to paint the picture and makes more sense for like when you are in the timber and it is 150 yards away and you're scratching your head like, what happened? Like, now that I saw it happen, now I can kind of start to like, you learn. Like, you learn from unsuccessful hunts, and like that, it was just a really cool unsuccessful situation.
It's one of those things about turkey hunting in itself, and deer hunting in itself is it's that chess game. It's that match. It's what can make yourself better, to learn from that, to be successful, right? To watch how that works, that interaction, how she yelped, how she walked, how she, how he did things, how, like, that's what it is. And you can play in your mind like, oh, that's why he shut up. They went this way because she came over, boom, bang, boom, there, here we go. Now we're making a move, you know. So and it's pretty cool, and that's how deer hunting works, you know. But a lot of people, this is the biggest thing, and it's been a burning thing in my mind my entire life is like, you know, and your dad probably said the same thing to you is like, if you took the time and watched how these deer interacted or these turkeys interacted, like naturally, people go into the woods and they think they know how things interact and work in nature. But you have to actually take the time to watch them to understand how they actually do it. You know what I'm saying? Like most people will 100, they'll go in there and they'll go, "Oh yeah. Oh, that deer was like, he was on edge." And he was like, "No, dude, he was just scratching his ear." Like, you know what I'm saying? Like if you just sit back and watch how it actually happens. So it's cool. That's the coolest part about it, honestly. Like that's a successful hunt in my opinion, right? Like it really is.
I wish we could see more Sunday morning in Rhode Island with Sean, because there was a lot of the same stuff kind of going on. And I mean, truthfully, we had a killer setup. Like when I say killer setup, I mean the type of situation that you kill in. Like the terrain was perfect where if that's a lone longbeard coming in and he's letting you know he's coming with some gobbles and you got the gun up, by the time he sticks his head up over that hill, he's dead. Like he can't. It's just perfect. Not a great filming scenario, you know, but if a great killing scenario, right? Unfortunately, that same setup kind of stopped us from being able to observe more of like the jakes and what was going on over the hill, and like vocally and like the racket they were making, they were putting on a show. We just couldn't see it. So, but it was cool. It was really sweet.
No, that's definitely where it's at. You hope for mornings like that, dude. You know, you really do. At least you're in the action. You know, I mean, could you imagine sitting in a tree listening to robins sing? You know, and no gobbles, or walking 15 miles and not hearing gobbles? It's just
especially on the last day of the season. You'll bet my ass I'll be back in that area early next season, because that was my first time in. I mean, I'd buzzed it before. I'd hit the owl call there before, but never actually like hunted that piece. And once I got in there and saw the layout and the terrain and how it all like comes together, and see that many birds that late in the season, like I'll be for sure,
it's a good spot.
Checking that next year for sure.
That's what's up. And that's the learning stuff. So. Well, speaking of learning, let's get Johnny Boy on. We'll go through some house cleaning and just kind of go through the sponsors, and then kind of talk about world-class whitetails, because it's getting to that time of putting out them trail cameras and starting to learn and see what's going on. We're already getting pictures of velvet deer with the antlers starting to show up. So it's time to start thinking about whitetails, and the season's not even over yet. So actually, it's always on our mind, I guess. So. Don't forget, guys, in July coming up, Into the Wild, the outdoor experience, up there in New York. Come and join us. Come check it out. It's going to be July 12th and 13th. It's the ultimate outdoor experience. It's an outdoor festival and shoot, up at, the Holiday Mountain Road at Holiday Mountain in New York. So check that out. We'll post a link here below. Bowtech refused to follow. The new Bowtechs, some really good stuff out there. They are the title sponsor of the Outdoor Drive. We are looking forward to getting them things bent. I know Stevie's bringing it up to Canada, and hopefully he can put some bodies on it. Latitude Outdoors. A lot of really good stuff coming from them. Looked like they had some really cool stuff that had come out. The butter braid, right? Is that what it is? The butter bridge. That's what I meant. Sorry, I'm thinking butter braid. My food. I'm so hungry. As always. The butter bridge. And they actually came out with an updated platform. So those are back. There's a lot of really good stuff in stock. So make sure to get over to latitudeoutdoors.com. Use the promo code OutdoorDrive. Save yourself some. Working Class Bowhunter Podcast, WCB. Use the promo code Outdoor Drive in their merch stuff. Get some really cool stuff. some nice hats, bumper stickers, you name it. Make sure to use the promo code over there. Check out the boys. Check out a podcast while you're out there also. Huntworth gear. Get more for less with Huntworth. Some of the best hunting apparel, camo on the market. Start to think about some of these sales and use it to your advantage when it comes to the heat boost for the late season. Now's the time to definitely get that stuff. And, there's always some good sales throughout the summer kind of blowing stuff out. So make sure to go and check those guys out at Huntworth. Fourth Arrow camera arms. If you guys are getting into self-filming, we've been using the monopod. Probably one of the greatest things when you're hunting on the ground, especially for deer season. Looking forward to using that, especially to my advantage. And then the camera arms. If you guys are looking to start filming, now's the time to start getting it. The satellite is what Steve runs. A little bit smaller, great for saddle hunting, packable in the backpack. Go and check it out over at Fourth Arrow Camera Arms. And Fatties LLC. You can get it online. Get in your inquiry about getting loads. I know turkey season's coming to the end, but there's never too late to be getting more ammunition. Or if you are a duck hunter, waterfowl hunter, he also loads that stuff too. So make sure to check him out at saddiesllc.com. We appreciate you guys. We'll check you guys out next week.
The Outdoor Drive Podcast.
Well, you guys want it to go away, and we want it.
Yeah, you can have it. You can have it. It's so bad here. It's crazy how much rain we've actually gotten here. So
yeah, I'm hoping that we get a lot more because I don't want to fight EHD like we kind of fought that last year, and I don't want to do that again.
Is that a big thing and a big factor with it being so dry?
It never was, or at least I wasn't aware of the problem until last year. I guess the year before it was a problem, but I didn't see it on my farms. But I had a really big one. I mean, he was going to push that 200 mark last year, and I think it was early July. The landowner called me and said, "Hey, there's a really big deer in the pond out here. You should come look at it." And sure enough, it was him. And I had the biologist come out and look at it, and he confirmed that it was an EHD kill.
Oh, does EHD, like, is it more prevalent when it's drier?
Yeah, because they're saying, I can't remember if it's the midge fly or what or it's some kind of fly. Yeah, that like lays their larvae in the mud. As your ponds kind of go down and there's mud all around the pond, they lay their larvae in there, and then they get into the deer's hooves or whatever when they go to drink, and then it eventually gets to them. And from what I know is that they run a really high fever, and it actually cooks their brain, and that's why you always find them dead in the pond.
I didn't know it was the hoof. I thought it went up their nose.
That might be it too.
No, I probably don't know what I'm talking about. I'll be honest with you.
I'm not telling you I know 100% what I'm talking about either. Because like I said, we've never really had much of a problem, so I've never looked into it a lot. So.
Yeah, we don't have a Jamie to fact check us. You know what I mean? We can just make shit up and people think we're smart.
Yeah, right. Let's get Mark Drury on here and see what he says.
Well, now that you think now you're saying it, I did see a clip of him talking the other day. And I don't remember if he said it was a 100-year drought or a 100-year wet season. I think it must have been drought. And because he's an absolute freak when it comes to that stuff. And he looked at historical weather patterns, and I guess you guys had some kind of really, really bad drought. I want to say it was every 36 years or something like that, on the dot. And this year coming up is going to hit on that number. So him being him, he was preparing everything for drought, be drought protectant, so it wouldn't hit him as hard and all that stuff. But it was really interesting to go back 200 years to see what years, when you're due for another bad year of drought.
Yeah, for sure, man. But I mean, I don't know how much there is you can do about it, unless you have access to millions of gallons of free water or whatever to be putting into your ponds, or if you're putting water tanks out everywhere. I guess I don't know, but to combat that here would be pretty much an act of God.
Yeah, but I don't even know if that would help because, all right, so you put a water tank out, it would give the deer access to water, but the natural water is still gonna be low, and you're still gonna have that exposed mud and in the midge or whatever it is.
Yeah, and we're gonna go drink at that pond. I mean, there's no way to keep unless you put a fence around it, I guess. But I mean, heck, then they might just move 2 miles to the next one. I mean, I think you'd just be kind of chasing your tail because eventually maybe they'll just move out of the area completely because they won't have access to that water.
So there's really no control at that point, right? I mean, like, what do you?
No,
that's it.
No,
that's a scary.
You just got to pray a lot, do a rain dance, I guess, out in the yard.
Oh, I mean, that would be the only preparation you could do.
Yeah.
Somebody around here needs to stop dancing because we have enough.
You guys got a lot of people dancing, sounds like.
Yeah. Oh. Man, why don't we put this thing right in four-wheel drive, speaking of mud and rain and all that good stuff? Why don't you tell everybody who you are, where you're from, and a little bit about what you do, John?
Okay, so my name is Jon Landwehr. I am from what I call the Golden State of Kansas. That's where everybody wants to come hunt because I don't know how many Boone and Crockett deer come out of the state every year, but there's a ton. We are very blessed with good genetics. We have food year-round, so that helps a lot. I've been hunting. I guess we can just kind of start from, where I started, I guess.
Yeah.
I started hunting basically when I was really heavy into deer hunting when I was about 13. Killed a really nice 150 class 8-pointer with a muzzleloader my first year. So that really kind of sparked the fire in me. And then the next year, when I was 14, I shot my first one with a bow. He's a high 140s class with a bow. That was actually a cool hunt, though. I shot him on the ground at like 40 yards. It just happened so perfect. I don't even know how I made it happen, but I did. I was just sitting on a fence line behind some tumbleweeds, and this buck come walking by with a doe, and I shot him. So, that's kind of what really got started. After that, I've shot some does with a gun since then, but after the time I was like 14 years old on, I've always just hunted with a bow. So that's just kind of where my passion's always been. You don't always kill one with a bow. I mean, I'm sure you guys have been there too. There's years that it's really tough. I had one of those this last year. So I think last year was the first year I haven't killed one with a bow for, I think, like 13 years or something. So it's been a while, but yeah.
That's crazy. So when you picked up the bow and you shot your first one, that must have came with a lucky horseshoe or something. That's how that all came in about.
Yeah, basically. I mean, I wasn't a good hunter at that time. It was the rut. A doe brought him by, and I just happened to be in the right place, right time, and it just all worked out.
That's crazy. So you weren't originally from Kansas.
No, that is right. I was born in Nebraska, in Kearney, Nebraska, and my family moved down here to be on the family farm when I was 13.
So you have a family farm that what was generations of farming?
Yeah. Yep.
What kind of crops and
but
stuff?
at the time we had moved down here though. There was my grandparents kind of rented the farm ground out, so we didn't actually farm it. We just kind of lived on the homestead.
Oh, that's crazy. Now you farm it or no?
No, I do not. That farm got sold there's a lot to that story, but that farm got sold a long time ago, probably 20-some years ago.
Oh, do you still hunt that farm or no?
No, I do not. Yeah, it's way out west. It's about 2 hours west of here.
Wow. So where did it all kick off for you to be chasing big whitetails and really like have that bug and wanna really get after it?
So I kind of broke that. Oh, what age was Blake? So it's always just kind of been whatever decent buck comes by, I'm going to shoot him. And it wasn't until a year, I actually killed the deer right up here behind me. I killed a good 150 class 9-pointer, big, heavy, old deer, heavy horn deer. And that was the first year I decided, okay, I'm not shooting anything unless it's mature. So I killed that deer. It took a lot of work. You guys know how this all goes. It's just hunting a mature whitetail over, good 130 H3-year-old is a total different ball game. So it takes a a lot of scouting and a lot of patience and hard work to get it done. So I shot that deer, and I think there was like a 3 or 4 year gap in there where I didn't kill a deer. I struggled, and finally coming to the realization that a lot of these, actually every buck, not even just a lot of them, every buck has a totally different personality. What works to kill this deer is not going to work to kill this deer. You know what, this deer's patterns are totally opposite from this other deer. So figuring out in those few years, and then finally getting back to where I could start killing deer again. And from there, it's just skyrocketed.
What do you think that has kind of changed that for you as far as like understanding different deer, like to make you successful to put you into that ring?
Oh, man, the biggest thing is just kind of studying deer behavior, I guess. Knowing what deer do at certain times of the year, what they do in the spring is totally different from what they do in the fall. So over the years, just tracking all those patterns, not specifically to the one deer, but like the whole deer herd. In the spring, summer, they're foraging, they're eating grasses, they're in the green wheat. And then once they make from that transition, once the wheat turns to where it's ready to cut, then they transition over to the soybeans. Then they transition over to the milo. And then, when the milo comes out, it's rut, and then everything's out the window. But it's just kind of learning those patterns over the years and knowing, which areas are going to have the genetics of the deer you want to chase in the age class, and just kind of manifesting all that together.
And so when you have a target buck, you pretty much almost have to locate and relocate that deer 3 or 4 times from, say, spring to rut.
Oh yeah,
now,
absolutely. There was one I chased 2 years ago. Megatron, actually, he's right here. I had him at first 6 miles away from where I ended up killing him. So if that tells you how fast their range is, that's a really tough thing to do. But keeping tabs on him, I don't know how many gallons of gas I burn every year, but it's a lot.
So when you first picked them up, you picked them up on early season on wheat?
Yeah.
And then you killed them where? Closer to Milo, 6 miles away?
No, I ended up killing him just before Thanksgiving. So we were kind of getting into the tail end of the rut, and I had to concentrate basically on where the biggest amount of does were, because he was bouncing around from doe to doe, and that's where I ended up having to be. It's just where the majority of the does were, and that's how I got him.
And what does it take? Like what are you doing now as that preparation starts to try and find those deer and like make sure that you're ready to chase that one deer?
So right now it's like you can't really tell a whole lot. They're this far off their head unless certain markings like a double throw patch or whatever to know which deers you're looking at from last year. Is kind of tough right now, but here in probably the next 3 weeks to a month, it's going to be, okay, this deer is going to be a big deer, or, this buck now should back up. So you're going to know where he's at now. And then basically what I'm going to do is going to find, first and foremost, the closest water source, because they have to drink. So wherever the closest water source is, and then you go from there and you go to where the next step is to where the milo field is going to be at in September, because he's going to move to that milo field. So just finding the 2 closest things, water and the milo. And then the next step is, if I don't have permission on this place, getting permission on this place. Now, if you can't get permission on that, but you can get permission on the stuff next door to the milo field, okay, now we got to figure out if he's living in the milo or if he's coming like off a CRP field or something on the neighbors. So there's a lot that goes into the whole formula of it. I mean, for the last 5 years, we've hunted a 200-inch deer. It's just getting them killed is the next biggest thing. Okay, I know where he's at, but I can't get him killed because he's living on the neighbors and he's not coming over onto me. Like, there's been times I'm literally sitting on the fence line and watching this deer 200 yards away and can't do anything about it. Yeah, it's just the way it is.
That has to be the most mind-boggling thing in the world.
Yeah.
Like, he's at your fingertips, and you just cannot touch him.
No. And I mean, yeah, could you do some illegal stuff and have a muzzleloader up on that fence line and shoot him? Oh, absolutely. But, you know, and it's so I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. It's tempting. Even for me, it is very tempting to do it. Blake had one on the scope. This was 2 or 3 years ago. He had big split twos, split brows. I mean, this deer was 200. There was no questions asked. There was a bunch of does out in the wheat field out in front of us, some little bucks. And I'm like, this sucker's going to hop the fence and he's going to blast this thing. I mean, this was in rifle season in December. But this deer's done. That deer acted like he was going to jump the fence 3 times, but never would do it and ended up walking the fence line up over the hill and gone. It's like, oh, Lord. It never saw the deer again.
Why do you think he didn't? Is it just didn't want to come out in the open? Is this that smart, or just knew something was up, or just deer being? Sometimes they just do shit and you don't even know why they do it.
Yeah, I think it's just he did something and had no idea why he did it. But I do think too sometimes these deer do have a sixth sense or something that just tells them, I'm not gonna jump that fence. Oh no, because there were several times he'd like go to jump it and would just stop, and then he'd look around. And he'd walk a little ways, and then he'd back up, act like he was going to jump and stop. And I'm like, oh, like if there was ever a time to pray to God, right then was the time. It's like, please, God, just let this sucker jump the fence. And he just would not do it.
Does acting like he's going to jump the fence actually, like, isn't that like 9/10 of the law? No, like he was going to jump the fence.
He was, and as soon as he made that initial, put it in his chest.
If you watch his muscles, he was actually over the fence in his mind. So that's
his nose was this far over that fence.
He identified as a fence jumper. He identified as a fence jumper.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah, it gets very frustrating.
Eric Nelson texted me. He said he did a study on EHD back in college. They target areas where there isn't a lot of fur, like ankles, mouth, around the eyes. So,
that's our Jamie. That's our Jamie, the fact checker. Eric, we appreciate you, Eric. No,
ankles, mouth, and around the eyes. Okay. Huh.
So what is some of the difficult? I mean, I bet you a lot of the difficulties, obviously, because like we come from 2 different areas, right? Like we live in the mountains, we live in the trees. There's not a lot of agriculture, very minimal agriculture.
We don't know what Milo is.
We don't have Milo. If somebody's got soybeans, every deer within 350 miles is in that soybean. So that's a true known fact.
Yeah.
But for being in Kansas, what is some of the hardest things about hunting in Kansas? Because, like, dude, there's not a lot of trees. Like, what are you trying to do? Like, how do you pattern those deer for moving from place to place? It's really the food source?
Yeah, the food is the number one factor. Second one is spotting scope. Like, I have a really good spotting scope, and you literally have to watch these deer from miles away and just see what they're doing. And the thing that makes it the absolute hardest to kill these deer, I could have killed every one of these deer. The hardest number one thing is permission. There's so many out-of-state guys that are buying up land, that are leasing up land, everything that, I mean, that is probably the number one factor to killing them, is because it's very hard to get permission these days. And I have several farmers that I work for on the side to gain permission. Some of them even let me plant food plots and stuff on their farms to kind of keep the deer where I want them. So that is definitely the number one hurdle. Even out here where there's not a lot of trees or whatever, you'd be surprised on how much is leased up or bought.
Wow.
Want to plan your next fishing trip without the hassle? FishingBooker.com is the best way to find and book a fishing charter anywhere in the world. Whether you're chasing trophy fish or just looking for a family day on the water, Fishing Booker makes it simple, fast, and secure. With thousands of experienced guides, verified reviews, and 24/7 customer support, Fishing Booker takes the guesswork out of planning. Visit FishingBooker.com and book your trip today. Fishing Booker. Fishing trips made easy.
Whatever the occasion, effortless elegance is right this way. Because Hilton brings you new ways to stay courtesy of the Nomad London. And it doesn't stop at award-winning dining in a space draped in velvet and illuminated by vintage chandeliers. No, this day goes beyond with unparalleled personalized service and attentive hospitality. Oh, And did we mention the Nomad London can be booked using your Hilton Honors points at Hilton.com? Hilton, for the stay.
Midway USA knows the hobbyist, doing basic gun repairs and upgrades. Midway USA also knows the accomplished professional doing precision work as a trade. At Midway USA, we have the gunsmithing supplies you need, from firearm-specific tools and fixtures to general tools like screwdrivers, punches, stamps, wrenches, hammers, and files. Shop our wide selection of calipers, micrometers, dial indicators, gauges, and other measurement tools. Browse through our site for paint, stain, polish, and finish, as well as bluing and other metal finishing products. For just about everything for gunsmithing, shop MidwayUSA.com.
That's crazy.
Do you get a lot of, when you're doing that road scout with the spotting scope, do you get a lot of pressure? Like, do you ever work, like if you're sitting on the side of the road for an hour with the spotting scope out, do you get a lot of people buzzing you and like kind of stalking you out and wondering why you're sitting on the side of the road for so long with spotting scope out the window?
So the one thing that I've had to do is change up tactics. I can no longer drive my big lifted truck because everybody knows who it is. And I have had people, literally stalk me. It's like, I know that truck. Why? I know the only reason that truck's sitting there is a big deer around here. Right. So I've literally had to start driving our little Chevy Equinox around. And if I see a truck coming down the road or something, I grab that spot and scope off, throw it in the passenger seat and start driving. Because, it is a thing. Like, people are like, okay, I know why that truck's there. And then somebody starts to try to get permission around there and get me kicked off.
Right.
It's
tough.
That's gotta suck.
Yeah, because sometimes you hit the nail on the head. People start recognizing your truck and they know who it is, and there's a reason why you would be there. But like sometimes I even worry about they might not even know it's me, but they might just they start seeing the same truck night after night or multiple times a week, and then they start getting nosy or start getting curious, and then they start, prodding around and all that stuff.
Yeah. I've had them call the landowner before and say, hey, this vehicle keeps sitting over there. What are they doing? Oh, well, I gave him permission to hunt. Oh, okay. Well, is there any way I can get permission with that too? How much is it going to cost? But seriously, come on. It's cutthroat. It is cutthroat.
I mean, I guess it's kind of to be honest, it's kind of the same type of thing up here. I mean, we don't really chase too much private because it's tough because, the factors that we have is it's very, very diverse in the fact of a lot of people are against hunting. It's kind of a known thing. Like, it's kind of funny, and probably for you, John, like if you were to come up here and kind of see it, like we kind of hide it. Like it's kind of hidden. Like you're not really known as you try not to have stickers on the back of your truck. You try not to, and it's not because of other hunters. It's just because the anti-hunters. And like you walk into a gas station with a pair a pair of camo pants or a camo shirt, and people's gonna look at you weird. Like, we just had it. We was out turkey hunting a couple of weeks ago, me and Steve, and we pulled up. Now, mind you, we're in public land, like to the fullest. And we're at a parking space, and a bunch of 4 or 5 ladies walk by, and they're supposed to be wearing orange or whatever. And we're sitting in the parking spot, and I was like, "Oh, good morning to you. I'm nice as pie." And they're like, "Well, I'm not gonna be wishing you no luck." And I'm like, "What?" And they go they walked right into public and kept on going. And I'm like, "All right," I says, "I wasn't asking for it, but have a good day."
Because I wasn't basing my hood off of you telling me good luck or something. Good Lord. See, that's what's wild to me. Like, if somebody out here was to show up with a PETA sticker or something on there, or be like, "Oh, you guys hunt or whatever," pretty sure they'd be ran out of town.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, we hunt in the Midwest, and that's that's a totally different thing. You go to the gas station, wear a pair of camo, 15 guys are out there. "Oh, did y'all see any deer tonight? Oh, where you guys hunting?" You know what I'm saying? Like, it's always a continuous conversation. Here, you as soon as you get out of the woods, you whip your camo off and put it in your truck and put on your loafers and go to town because you're not gonna It's a huge thing.
That sucks. Like you said, you almost have to try to hide it. And I think that's horrible. That's shitty.
It is. It really is a shitty feeling, honestly. And so the other thing too, when it's starting to gain permission, and we understand your pain because you go to knock on someone's door and they're like, "You hunt? You can't come hunting here." That's like, ew, why would you kill all those animals? Like that's the feedback that we get. Like it's crazy. It's crazy.
Out here, guys are like, yeah, they're like ruining my crops. If you kill one, you have to kill 5.
Yeah.
That's basically where they're at. Because there's like some hunters or farmers that I don't, have permission on. But if I call them up and say, hey, I got a deer over in this field, do you care if I go kill it? Well, yeah, he's in there trampling down my milo, kill him. Okay, great. We'll do.
They probably get mad at you because you're only targeting one specific deer.
Well, and see, that's the other thing is that some of these landowners too, it's like, okay, we're going to kill 1 buck or we're going to kill 3 does. If that's the stipulation they want, then that's what we're going to do. I don't have no problem putting meat in the freezer.
Right. And they taste a lot better because they're eating Milo and all the other good stuff. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Milo anyways.
So actually, you'd be very surprised if you look it up, and a lot of ingredients and a lot of the stuff that you eat, like what's the one, like Nestle, the chocolate milk mix.
Nesquik.
I'm pretty sure it's in there. Yeah, Nesquik. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's in there. If you look at a lot of the ingredients, it's called sorghum. It's not really called Milo. It's called sorghum.
I didn't know that was the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So there's a grain sorghum, which is what Milo is.
Teach me that.
Come on, Blake. I thought he was better than that. So there's 2 different types. There's a grain sorghum and a forage sorghum. The grain sorghum is going to be shorter and it's going to have the bigger heads. And a forage sorghum gets like 10 feet tall and it has a very small head. It's more for like tonnage for cattle and stuff.
Mm. Now, the deer will eat both, or they don't prefer the cattle one?
They don't. The only thing I like the cattle one for, really, I don't know if they eat it a whole lot, but it's cover. I mean, it's really tall, really thick. You can't see anything out of it. We actually had a buck last year. Blake was hunting him. We called him B10, and he was probably 170-inch 10-pointer, and he was living in there. And we kept trying to draw him out, but he was way too smart and wouldn't come out of that shit till dark. But so they use it a lot for cover. And then once they cut it, this is how important our crop rotations are. They're living in there. There's probably 30 or 40 deer living in this one field, and as soon as they cut it, they're gone. Like literally, they're just completely gone out of the area. Like you're not finding them.
So with the spotting scope being so valuable to you, how unvaluable are trail cameras? Like, how do you go about even using them when it's such a vast land and so much crops?
So trail cameras are still a vital part to what we do because we are a bait state. You can put bait out. Now, we don't normally hunt over bait. It's more for inventory, basically, to see what deer are out there. So we can put out corn. I've been using GB feeds for a lot of years and stuff. And then so you can take them out like from this 300-acre milo field and put it on the edge of this milo, and you can pretty much pull every buck that's in there onto that camera. Most of the time it's after dark, so you're not really going to kill them over it or anything, but you just kind of know what bucks are in the area because a lot of these fields, all the dips and stuff in the waterways, you're not going to see every buck from the road with a spotting scope. So that still plays a huge part. And then I do have, most of the farms I have now, I have them set up to where I can put trail cameras out, like over scrape lines or whatever, and know how the deer move through them and still get pictures and videos and shit of them.
Do you use scrapes a lot? Like, is that like a big source for you? I know that it was, it wasn't something that you had used for a long time, but you kind of started to get into it. Have you really started to use them more to your advantage to try and kill big deer?
So I've never been able to kill one over a scrape. Over the last 5-6 years of these farms, I know what scrapes they use every year. I mean, like these scrapes are opened up every single year, and I've hung cameras over them. Not one of them I've ever seen using the daylight. They are always after dark, and I have no idea why, but that's just what they do. Like my main farm, the one I call the Isaac farm, like there's a big scrape that opens up that's the size of a dinner table every year, but there's never a daylight picture of a buck on that. And I don't know why. I do not get it. That's just what they do.
Are those like field edge scrapes, or are they in the timber?
They're more field edge scrapes. What's crazy is like, so a lot of these milo fields in September, they use scrapes year round, which is something I didn't know until just a few years ago. If there's one tree on that fence row on the edge of a milo field, I bet the farm that there's a scrape underneath it.
Yeah.
It's just, and it's in the most random place. It's like literally out in the middle of a 300-acre pasture where there's not a single tree, but there's a scrape right underneath that sucker. Like, what the heck?
That's like a beech tree up here. You see a beech tree, you know damn right sure that there's going to be a scrape underneath it. It doesn't matter. You check every single beech tree to see if there's a scrape underneath it. That's pretty crazy.
Wow.
Do you find that maybe there, and I don't know, just kind of talking it out, but maybe is there like more scrapes in the timber behind it that they're hitting before the sun goes down, or?
Not that I've ever found. Most of them are on the edges of the timber or on field edges. Like we have a lot of like big thick tree rows,
right.
that have lanes through them and stuff. And very rarely will you ever find a scrape in there, like in a bedding area.
That's nuts. Well, yeah,
man, it's weird.
That is super weird, honestly, that they wouldn't hit them during the day, especially. I don't know. That's just nuts. That's nuts to me.
Yeah.
Mind blown.
Yeah. It's like they wait till they come out to the edge and then they'll go work a scrape.
I find here, like, I've had, like, cameras on the same giant scrapes for multiple years, and, like, they will hit it in the daylight very rarely and very randomly. So it's like you could sit it all you want, and then, like, that one day that you're not there, like, middle of the week while you're at work, he'll randomly show up at 7:10 in the morning, and you're like, you can't predict it. You Like, there's no pattern or rhyme or reason to when they're going to show up in the daylight.
Yeah, nope. I've tried to go off of this. My buddy Tyler Wilbur kind of taught me this a little bit about like historical data. This buck will come through on November 4th. Every year. At this time, or like really close to it. And the thing that, and I've tried to do that, and the thing that that's what screws us is our crop rotations. It won't happen. I've tried to see if it'll happen and stuff, and it just won't. Like they won't be on this scrape or walking down this trail on the same day. They may walk down that trail, but it's 2 weeks after that or whatever it may be. And that's what I think it is the crop rotations are what screws us so bad.
Yeah, you almost have to do historical data based on the crop rotation. So, like, every 3 years when the crop is like this, like, what did he do on this date 3 years ago when this was a milo field? Because the next 3 years it won't be. So, yeah, that's long. That's long.
And then at that point, that deer, hopefully you got him dead by then to try and figure out what he's doing historically 3 years prior, right? Like,
yeah. Either I killed him or the neighbor killed him already or something.
Yeah.
That's tough.
The other thing that throws me off with that, too, because, like, I had a buck that I thought I had dialed in pretty good like that, because I started looking at old trail. Like, I wouldn't know where he was all summer, then he'd show up right before the season. And I'm like, oh, he showed up this day, 3 years ago. He showed up this day 2 years ago, like within a day or two. And then I'm like, oh, he's going to show up any day now. And he's like, where is he? He like hasn't showed up. And he ended up being like 2 weeks late. So I threw it out the window. But then I was talking to my buddy I was talking about earlier in South Georgia. He's like, well, did you look at the moon phase? And it was like those first 3 years was like similar to the same moon phase, but we just hit a cycle where he didn't show up until the moon phase matched the 3 years prior. And I'm like, I missed that. I didn't see that coming.
Wow.
That's learning whitetail.
Yeah.
And what I've started to do is I've got a notebook now that these last 2 years I've been writing down, what the day is, what the temperature is, what the pressure is, what direction the wind's blowing and stuff. And, I'll have days in there where nothing daylighted. Or, then 2 days later, I had shooter bucks at 6 different farms that evening on daylight, the south wind at 5 miles an hour and a temperature of 65 degrees, and a 30 on the barometric pressure. And kind of started to write those down just as we go to kind of figure out a pattern that way too.
How long have you been doing that?
About 2 years now.
Is there anything in particular that you think has like more value or less value as far as Like if you itemize like barometric pressure or temperature, like is there something that seems to hit more often than the others?
The biggest thing is wind direction and speed. Actually, the surprise crap out of you. Both 200s I've killed, it's been over 90 degrees. I don't know why. It's super hot out. It's in heckin' the first one, Titan, was in October, and it was like 93 degrees, and that's the day I killed him. He didn't move on the days it was 60 degrees. It was the hot day that he decided to get up and move. I have no idea why. Well, actually, I do know why, but it's just sometimes it's crazy. That's what I think it is. The biggest thing is wind speed and the direction of it.
Was there a wind shift? Like, had the wind been out of a certain direction for a couple days, and then the day you killed them, it had changed?
Yeah, it had been. It had been out of the north for 2 days, and then switched, came out of the south that day. But I've been writing all that down, But I haven't seen a change, though. Say it does blow out of the north for 3 days, and then the first 2 days out of the south, they move. It might blow out of the south for 5 days at 40 miles an hour, and they don't move. And then all of a sudden it drops to 5 to 10, and then they're up on their feet. For whatever reason. Yeah, this year out here are puzzling, dude. It's just when you think you got it figured out, then they throw you for a whole big loop.
I think it's the same here. It's just different factors, right? We don't have to worry about wind because we're in the timber. But if it's too hot or it's, you know what I'm saying? Like, we have other factors that we deal with that are, in the same variable. Like, when you think you got it figured out, they throw a curveball at you. It's, oh, yeah, it's, the thing for us, too, especially on public land here, we have smaller parcels that we're hunting. So not only are you trying to kind of pattern the deer, you're trying to pattern the pressure too. A, the hunters, B, the hikers. There's a lot of things that go into this that might throw that curveball at you. It's definitely and
you guys fight thermals. Like,
oh yeah.
After talking to guys like on podcasts and on the phone stuff that live over east, they're like, oh yeah, you got to watch your thermals. I'm like, what the hell are thermals? Like, out here, if the wind's blowing in that direction, your scent's going that way. There's not very many holes that we're gonna, or a big bunch of trees that we're in. We're just gonna sit there and squirrel, or it's gonna drop in the morning, or rise as it warms up, or whatever. I'm like, what the hell are you guys talking about thermals? we don't have that problem.
It's tough.
Thermals seem like they're a real. It depends on where you're at. Can be a real pain in the ass.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing with thermals too that I've learned in the last couple of years is those really big. We're hilly terrain and we're in the timber. Those really big bucks. Like when I find them, they're usually in this spot where the prevailing wind is heading one direction, and the thermals are doing the opposite. So they can ride that ridge. They've got wind coming this way, thermals coming this way, and he just splits that middle. I know what he's doing. I know why he's doing it. How do I beat that? That's why he's doing it, because he's riding that line where it makes it very hard to slip in and get the right angle to not get busted one way or the other, which is why they're big, and that's why they're there. But
how do you kill them? Like how do you do it?
You don't. Or very.
Hope he gets a midge stuck up his nose and does something stupid and walks by.
Right. His brain's starting to cook, or he's got 3 legs and 1 eye and deaf.
So to answer your question, the way to do it is a wind switch, is one of the things, because if, say, that wind is going to switch midday or whatever, or when that deer's going to move, or it's just shit luck, and you just hope that you just ride it anyways and just hope that he don't care, or he comes in doing what you want him to do. Like,
the way to do it is wait till the November 7th when he gets real stupid.
And the wind's in his face, and he doesn't
caution to the wind.
Yeah, his wind's into the wind is in his face, but he's chasing the wrong tail, and it doesn't matter, and it just it is what it is.
Absolutely.
It's that's, I guess that's the fun part of whitetails. But when it comes together, dude, it's the greatest thing in the world. And then you think you're a rocket scientist until the next deer comes in and he's got a different attitude. I mean, that. So
like I said, they all have different personalities. Not one of them does the same thing as the other.
I was thinking about that earlier when you said that. Have you ever, this might sound crazy, but like, have you ever like figured out a deer's personality before you and it attributed to knowing how you were gonna kill him? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Absolutely. So Titan would have been that 200 I killed back in 2020. I finally figured out what his pattern was. I would go in there, and I did actually kill this deer over bait pile.
Why don't you tell that whole story? Because that's a good story. Just start it from the beginning and then inquire why.
So I found this deer in July. This was the biggest deer I've ever. I had a hard pull camera out on this deer, and I've got pictures of this deer, and this deer's just got shit going everywhere. I mean, absolute biggest deer I've ever seen. I had a trail camera picture of at least in my entire life. This was in July, and I'm thinking, holy shit, like I'm going to have to really step my game up now to kill this deer. And so that was the first time I ever bought still cameras. I bought the Tacticams and stuff because I'm like, I'm going to put these out so I'm never, at least feet on the ground, putting my center around or whatever. So I get pictures of them in July, and I'm like, oh, I'm doing everything right. I never get another picture of this deer. Like, gone. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, did I go in there the next time and screw it all up when I pulled I mean, what happened? And I literally every morning as soon as I roll out of bed, I pick up my phone and I'm scrolling through pictures. I'm like, okay, is he there? Nothing. Finally, on October 4th, I'm scrolling, and it was the very first picture. Boom, there he is, standing right there. I literally fell out of my bed, and I'm like, holy fucking shit! Holy shit! Oh, I was like, what's wrong? I was like, he's there! I mean, I flipped out, dude. And I couldn't believe it. Like, why all of a sudden did he show up? You know, whatever battlefield he was in, did he get cut and then he moved back in? I don't know. So I'm trying to figure out this deer, and he'll daylight 2 nights, and then he goes back nocturnal for 3 or 4 days, whatever. And I'm like, what? Like, he'll daylight even if it's hot, but he doesn't daylight all the time. Like, I'll go in there and sit, not see him. But what the hell's going on? And then I finally figured it out. I went back and started looking at dates, and I'm like, that's the day I put out corn. That's the day I put out corn. That's the day I put out corn. Holy shit. Every day I drive in there with my truck and dump corn out, he daylights.
That's crazy.
No way. No freaking way. So I told my boss, we were actually cutting Milo at the time, and I told him, I said, hey, can I leave early tomorrow? Because I'm going to go kill this deer. He's like, oh, you think you are, huh? Okay, all right. He's like, yeah, that's fine. I'll have another truck driver come out, and you can go hunt. So that next morning, I drove out there with my truck with I don't even know, 12 buckets of corn or some shit. And I dumped corn out all over the ground, dude. And I closed the tailgate on my truck, and I'm literally spinning kitties out in the field, just whoa, 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 just wrapping my truck up and shit. And I killed him that night, 2 hours before dark.
That's wild.
Was it just a dinner bell when he heard my truck, or what? What the heck was the deal?
Now, typically, when you dump corn, how long will that last before it's licked clean?
It really depends on what how many deer you have in that herd there. That year was probably the most deer that we had. Well, I mean, actually, that was the second year I hunted that property. So we had 30 to 40 resident deer on this literally quarter of ground, 160 acres. There was a lot of deer in there. So if you dump 10 buckets of corn out, it's probably going to last you 10 days, 10, 14 days maybe. But then as our population, CWD, we've been in hit hard, EHD, we've had some hits there too. Our population's way down. So if I fill a 350-pound feeder, it might last for 2 to 3 weeks now. It really depends on how many deer are in the area. And the other thing is too, what other food sources are around that they're hitting as well. If there's not much of a food source around there, it's we move into November or whatever, and that's their main food source, it'll get hit harder.
Right.
So you think, I mean, that's crazy that he had that type of attitude, and to be honest, to be able to kill that big of a deer over a bait pile in daylight, that's not a very typical thing, because you hear a lot of people that talk about baiting deer, and literally the biggest thing that they say is you will not kill a big deer over bait.
Very rarely.
Very rarely.
And the other crazy thing is that you could see this, it was literally, there was one cottonwood tree out in the middle of the field. and he was coming from the timber and all the big tall grasses from there, walking across an open field. You could see all of us from the road. If you drove by at that moment, you could have seen that deer standing there, plain as day, 300 yards off the road, like right there. And he just walks out into the open. And this was a 7.5-year-old buck. Why he was doing it, I was like, maybe he did have something wrong with his brain. Hell, I don't know.
It's also wild, a buck like that, of that age, you killed them over corn in the daylight on the day you bait. You'd think 2-3 days after he'd show up, 2-3 days after he showed up. But no, he was showing up every day that you freshened it up, like hours after you left.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing, too, think about this. If that deer's 7.5 years old, right, and every time that somebody baited, if he had those, you know, if that bait had left so fast, he knew that he had to be there to get to that bait once that bait fell. And also, he potentially could have had some bad occurrence with the bait after the first day. You know what I'm saying? So he knew when that bait went down that potentially in his mind, like, okay, bad things have happened day 2, day 3, day 4. I have to be there to be able to get that food, maybe. Who knows?
Somebody shot at him or somebody hit him and wounded him or something. Yeah.
Or he was the king ding-a-ling and he just didn't care and he's just doing whatever he wanted to do.
He said, no one ever hunts the day they bait.
Nobody's that stupid.
They always bait Wednesday and come hunt Saturday. No one ever hunts the day they bait.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, and there's so many bucks that I won't ever get them on a bait pile, ever, in daylight. The one Blake just killed this last year on 196. I have not ever had a daylight picture of that deer. Not once in 3 years. Never a daylight picture. There was times it was right there, probably 10 minutes past the legal shooting light, but he would never daylight until that night he killed him.
Wow.
And there were so many factors, I think, that night. There was a farmer on the quarter just south of us that started planting wheat. Like, right when we sat down, he started planting wheat back there. And then there was another kid that was hunting that same property. He's just a young kid, doesn't really know what he's doing or whatever. And he had permission kind of on the south side of that property. Well, 20 minutes before dark, he got in his truck, and you heard his truck start up, and he left. So did the guy planting wheat pressure him? Did the kid walking out pressure him and make him get up? Because his wind was blowing right in our direction. Was that just the perfect situation to get him up on his feet and push him towards us? I think it was.
That's wild.
Because that deer was smart. That deer was not stupid. For him to walk in, I'm like, okay, well, that's all right. Kill him.
Especially to not have him really in daylight or on that fine line, like that's wild.
Yeah, and he was there, 15 minutes before legal light was over.
Hunting is not easy. It never has been. It takes dedication, motivation, a lot of patience, and quality gear. If you manage a food plot, put up stands, or need just one more game camera, we can help at MidwayUSA.com. We opened our doors in 1977 and continue to put customers first by offering super fast, same-day shipping. For just about everything for the outdoors, go to MidwayUSA.com. Midway USA brand product designers have one straightforward goal: develop high-quality, technically sound products and deliver them to customers at reasonable prices. If you are immersed in the shooting sports industry and pay close attention to every single detail, you know our products are built right and stand up to everyday use. Who has shooting mats and range bag systems to hunting clothing and just about everything for the outdoors? Log on and shop 24/7 with super fast shipping. MidwayUSA.com. For almost 50 years, Midway USA has been America's go-to source for just about everything for shooting, hunting, and the outdoors. Go to MidwayUSA.com to see our latest deals and promotions and take advantage of our super fast same-day shipping. If you need a cooler, a new fishing rod, another rifle, ammo, or a reloading press, you can find it all at MidwayUSA.com. Thanks for your business.
Remember we were talking about that prevailing wind and that thermal, and it just happens to come. That's that same situation.
Yeah.
But you're not gonna not hunt it, right? Like as long as you're safe, right? You're gonna go there, and hopefully he shows up early or he does what he needs to do. It's the same situation.
Yep.
Same thing.
Absolutely.
Take us through Zeus too, because was he a different type of deer with a different type of attitude?
Yeah. As much as this might come to people's surprise, I think Zeus was very stupid. I don't think he was that educated, and I did find his shed from the year before, and the way his rack was the year before, he would have been a 200 the year before. But the game warden, when he came out and looked at everything, because when you shoot a deer that big, it's like you want to squash everything. Oh yeah, he shot that over on my property, or blah blah, whatever. Before we removed the deer, I called the game warden, had the game warden come out, look through everything to make sure everything was legit. When he looked at his teeth, he guessed him at 4.5 years old.
Whoa.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if that's correct, because for that deer to be 3 years old and have a 200-inch basically a typical rack, I think that's kind of hard to believe. I could believe he was maybe 4 the year before, but I mean, I don't know. The game warden's going for no more than me, but
right. So I want to just time out and kind of hone in on what you just said. Did you learn that from after you shot your first 200-inch deer and had problems, or you just knew when you're targeting a world-class whitetail like this that you need to? Because you're not the only person that we've had on this podcast and had conversations with that have shot big deer and have gotten the law involved. I remember there was one in Ohio that we had on, and he had already notified the law before with trail cam pictures and the whole 9 yards of this deer to be like, hey, listen, I'm hunting this deer X, Y, and Z, and this is where it is. Like, is that a normal thing when you're hunting these world-class deer?
Not normally. The year before, I didn't have a bad experience with anybody to speak of that I know of. I mean, people talk, that you just don't hear.
Haters gonna hate.
I didn't know the deer at the time when I killed him was as big as he was until we put a tape measure to him. We had him at home. He was gutted. And then we put a tape to him. I'm like, holy shit, this deer's over 200. Like, damn. Like, he just has crazy stuff going over it. He's real tight. So it's like, I didn't think he was 200 then. But I think the thing with Zeus was, as soon as when I got the first trail camera picture of him, I was thinking this deer was, he is world class, but in velvet, everything's bigger. But I was like, this deer is going to be 240s, 250s. Like, holy shit, like, this deer's huge. Like, so then I did start keeping every trail camera picture, every video, everything, every sighting that I had of him through the spot scope. I did keep track of all that, just because I knew it was like, all right, this really is a world-class deer. I need to make sure that I have all my bases covered in case something does come out like that. Like, that deer was over on my property. You must have poached it. No, we're going to squash all that shit right away. Like, I'm not having any of that. I'm not going through any legal battles or losing this deer over somebody spewing some bullshit. So that was pretty much the reason I did that.
Yeah, and I mean, the other thing, too, is that you film your hunts. So it's all documented anyways, right? I mean, like, it's not so that's like a win-win in that
those
situation.
Weren't.
Oh, those weren't. No.
Unfortunately. I could have filmed both of those hunts easily, but I wasn't into it yet.
Right.
And then after that, people were like, oh, why aren't you filming and stuff? I'm like, well, shit, yeah, I probably should be. Even if it's just to preserve that. I mean, that is the main reason to do it now, is to preserve that memory. Like, I can go back and relive it. My kids can go back and relive it with me. That's the main thing. And so then after that, it's like, okay, yeah, let's start doing that. And then I did film the next year, that 180. I did get him on film though.
Yeah, but still, even though to get to 180, on film is incredible. Yeah, it would be nice to have two 200s taped and on film, but it is what it is. I mean, it could have been that factor in why you weren't able to shoot the deer or whatever the case may be. Like the first one when you had shot first, missed, and then had to shoot again. Like, could the camera have been in the way, or who knows? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a tough factor to have to get with.
Yeah, absolutely. And I did think about that. If I would have had that camera arm on my right side like I always do now, it would have totally been in the way. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know that I got that second shot off, because that camera arm would have been right there, and I would have to sit there like a dummy, like, okay, well, I guess you're going to walk out of my life, unless you're going to walk back in for some stupid reason. But yeah, that is very true.
What do you typically hunt out of a lock on, or how do you hunt usually?
Oh, we hunt. Oh, geez, we hunt out if I'm on a tree stand, my lock on is preferred method. I do have a redneck blind on a trailer that we hunt out of. We do hunt on our ground blinds, and we do a lot of spot and stock as well. So we kind of have a wide array. It's just kind of situational. I mean, I've hunted at a stand all morning and got out, and I'm 300 yards away from my truck, and the target's right there with the doe, like laying down. I was like, okay, I guess Indian mode we go.
Little Dave Blanton in the Milo field.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So been there more than once. I think between me and my 3 kids, I bet we've killed at least 10 of them spot and stock.
Wow. That's awesome.
I shot my two 170-inch 10-pointers. I shot them both on the ground. The one was at 3 yards, and the other one was at like 20.
That's gotta be a whole different adrenaline rush, being one-on-one with them. Like I couldn't even imagine. Like I pray that I could do that someday, but like that's not a thing. You ain't spot and stalking here. Like
no,
listen, I pray. What'd you say the second one was? 21 yards.
Yeah.
I pray I'm 21 yards from a 170. I don't care if I'm in the tree or not. Just put one that close to me.
Well, the one at 3 yards was kind of, I had a decoy. I had a heads-up decoy on my bow, and the buck and the doe were facing the opposite way, which is what I've learned, what you always want. And I grunted at him, and he whipped his head around and saw me, and immediately stood up, bristled up, pissed off. And actually, when I shot him, he was leaning in to hit the decoy that was on the front of my bow when I let it go. And I was like, oh, that might have been a little late. I probably should have shot you a little further out. Yeah, if I would have had a GoPro on my head, that would have been freaking nuts. It would have been absolutely insane.
Did you think to yourself, like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have grunted at him when I was that close to him because that happened?
Well,
like
he was like 100 yards away with that doe first. And I mean, he made it. I mean, it literally seemed like 5 seconds he was in my face. I mean, just that quick. He was that pissed off.
Wow. It's that effective?
Do what?
It's that effective? Like a decoy like that is that effective? It's like
if you get them in the right mood, and the number one thing is that, like, if they're better with like lockdown with the doe in the rut, you can't let the doe see you first. She will immediately bolt. She's like, oh great, another one trying to get me. So she just takes off and takes them with her. But if you can get the buck to see you first, most of the time, they're so pissed that they're coming. When he's on his way and then she sees you and she takes off running, he doesn't care. He's coming to kick your ass. And we've killed 3 or 4 like that.
When is this? Late October or like super early November?
It would be right around Thanksgiving.
That late?
November 17th through November 24th is when it is highly, highly, highly effective. Every year, historically, that's when we kill them, is in between those dates, spot and stock.
So when's your rut typically?
First, second week in November.
Okay.
And it's weird. Like they will lock down when it gets to like the later part, like when it's the last available does. That's when they take them out, and you'll see them bedded right off the side of the road. I've seen them bedded in a road ditch with a doe, just standing there and watch you drive by.
That's
it's
interesting.
like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, when you said lockdown, I'm thinking like
first round
before the first doe comes into estrus.
First round,
not that last one.
Yeah, it is really weird out here. That's when our lockdown is. That's when you will see them like just out in the middle of nowhere locked down with the doe. I don't know why. It's like the first part of the rut, like there's more available, maybe. I don't know. And, they're chasing a lot more. It's just when you get down to the last part of the rut, then they take them out in the middle where you can see them out in the open.
That's interesting. And then now I'm wondering if that happens here, it's just a lot harder for us to observe because it's all timber, where you can see it's a lot more exposed.
Yeah.
I know what I want to do now. Now I want to go to the Midwest the end of November and lockdown and go shoot a 120 like that. It's crazy you say that because like you say like a 3-year-old 130, but like for us, a mature deer, if you know what I'm saying, could be 130. It's a different class of deer, different genetics, a different, like us doing things like the deer behind Steve. Like those are mature bucks here. Those are 5-6 year old deer. Like those are mature deer. Like we just don't have the feed that we have. Steve's got to look and see which deer is behind him.
No, I was looking at like that one particular. He's a scrub buck. I won't even put a tape on him. He ain't going 100 inches. That deer was 6 years old. And it's just like, what do you do?
We have that here too,
Yeah.
If they don't have the genetics to be big, they're just not going to, Tyler Wilbur, when he was out here in Hunter a couple of years ago, we were after a deer that we named Floppy. We thought this deer's maybe going to go 140, but I know this deer's 8-9 years old. I mean, he's old as shit, but he just never got to that trophy class.
Right.
And that's just the way some of them are. And it's like with some pockets where I find most of these 200s are within like 4 miles of the same area. For whatever reason, like that pocket just has crazy genetics. And there's pockets like off to the southwest that are scrub bucks. Like you won't find anything more than 8 point.
Right.
Yep.
Now, I've always said like a 6-year-old's a 6-year-old. Like it doesn't matter if he's 80 inches or 180 inches. But do you think that's still true when you start getting into like 200-inch deer? Or are they just harder to kill because you're so dialed in on just that one deer?
Hey, what's up, happy people? This is Robert Arrington from Deer Meat for Dinner. If you're into bow fishing like I am, you need to check out Cajun Bow Fishing. I've been using their gear for years, from the Sucker Punch Pro to the Winch Pro Reel. It's tough, it's reliable, and it works. Whether you're just getting started or you're ready to take the step to the next level, head over to CajunBowfishing.com and check out everything Cajun Bow Fishing has to offer. I trust their gear because it works. So if you're hitting the water soon, make sure you're rigged up with Cajun Bow Fishing. You will not regret it.
At Midway USA, we put customers first. The Nitro Express shipping system is icing on the cake. It was a big investment of time and money to take super fast, low-cost shipping to a whole new level. The Nitro Express helps ensure same-day shipping and low shipping costs. We hope you enjoy the Nitro Express. We built it just for you. For just about everything for the outdoors, go to MidwayUSA.com. I'm Larry Potterfield with Midway USA. Thanks for your business.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
The biggest thing is that most of them, when they do get that big, they reach their full potential. They're that much smarter. Like I said, Zeus, he wasn't really that hard to kill. I mean, I think he was a younger deer. Whether he was 4 or he was 5, he for whatever reason, he wasn't as smart as several deer that 140-inch bucks that I've tried to hunt and kill and can't get it done. We had one we called the big 8 that was out at the Rising Farm. We tried to kill him for 4 years and never could get it done. He was always one step ahead of us. And then to come to find out in shed season, I figured out what he was doing the one year. I'd even drop my buddy off in the road ditch and keep the truck moving. He would bail out, and then he'd sneak down the waterway in a spot, and he'd know we were there. Well, then I found out in shed season, he was set up on top of the hill by a highline pole that had a bunch of weeds growing up around it, and he was watching us every single time. It's like, what the fuck? Then the last year that we actually had him on camera and saw him, he went downhill because he was getting really old, and he was with a doe, and he seen me coming down the road, and he leaves that doe and starts beeline trying to get across the road in front of me to go back into the cover. And I'm taking a video of this on my phone, and I'm literally like, this deer has drove me freaking nuts. I mean, absolutely. I have gray hairs because of this son of a bitch. And he's running towards the road, and you can really hear me in the video. Keep running. I'm going to run you over, motherfucker. I if this dude was going to get on the road, I have a big freaking bumper and go guard on my truck. I was literally going to hit this. I was like, I'm going to purposely run your ass over. But he did. He kind of made it. It got to the road and went back out. But I'm like, yeah, that was a smart move from you. I was like, I'm going to hit you.
The pain and agony. He's getting it back. I promise you that.
Yep.
We've
had a lot of crazy things.
You would have to skull cap them and mount that rack to the hood of your truck, though.
Right. Absolutely.
For sure.
He was owned.
See, all of you other deer are watching. This is what happens. This is what happens. When you don't come out with a white flag, this is what's going to happen to you.
No, and I bet you too. Those bigger deer, obviously, the pressure is a little bit higher on them too. You know what I'm saying? Once they get to that bigger stage, so they just get a little bit more pressure and a little bit smarter every single year because they made it to that point and they got a big target on their head. You know, like that's a huge part of it. Yeah,
and I think it was a year after I killed Zeus. It was just across the road from there to the east. I actually saw a deer. It was in August. I know for a fact he was bigger than what Zeus was. I know for a fact that he was bigger. And so I started calling around. Ended up getting permission on the place. So I got permission on him. Like, dude, we're good to go. Like, we're going to go in there and kill this sucker. Like, I've been watching him. I'm going to kill this son of a bitch this fall. And actually going in to hang cameras, I actually bumped him out of some tall grass right in front of me, 5 yards in front of me. And his rack just went way out, had drops coming off and everything. I'm like, holy shit. And I'm not kidding. This deer was in the 250s, 260s. Had to be. I mean, just absolute giant. So the night that I go on there and hang trail cameras, I get a phone call from this old lady's nephew. And mind you, it's all overgrown. All of the ag ground is all overgrown with grasses. You can tell no cattle have been in it. Nobody's farmed it for years and years. So I'm like, that's why the sucker's here. He's never been bothered here. And that evening, I get a call from her nephew, and he's like, "Oh, did so and so give you permission to be in there?" I said, "Yeah." He's like, "Well, I rent that from her." And he's like, "And if I see anybody in there, I'm just going to start shooting with my SKS. I don't care what the fuck you're doing. I'm just going to start shooting at you." And I'm like, "Whoa, bro! Like, chill out." And he was like, "I better not see you in there." And I'm like, "Well, I have cameras in there." He's like, "Oh, really? Where at?" And I was like, "Don't worry about it. I'll go in there and get them out." So literally that night in pitch black, I went and pulled all my cameras because I was like, dude, no deer's worth dying over. And so then I tried to get permission all around it to try to see where this deer is going, because where I had permission to where I could potentially pull the deer over, there was no cross planted there that year. So I was like, okay, he's going to move somewhere else. And dude, I tried for weeks to get permission around there and just could not get it done.
Had you seen him after that?
Yeah, I did. I saw him, I think, 2 times after that, right before they shed velvet. And that's what the other crazy thing is that when they shed velvet, it's like that's when they moved to the Milo. And I searched all the Milo fields within 5 miles of there, just could not find him.
Wow.
He never showed up dead anywhere?
Nope. And nobody killed him that I know of.
Yeah.
Wow. And so the kid that had called you, was he hunting in there, or he just rented it and didn't want no one in there? Or?
Yeah, and he never does anything with it. That's what I didn't get. And when I talked to the older lady later on, she was like, "Well, he doesn't pay me anything for it or whatever. And there's no agreement." I was like, "Then how is he saying that he hasn't rented? You're giving me permission to go." She's like, "Well, it's probably best that you just don't go in there. I don't want to piss him off." Shit. Okay. Yeah, it's crazy.
That's wild. Well, maybe he was growing something he shouldn't have been in there or something. I don't know.
It could have been.
That's nuts.
Could have been cooking something or grilling something, one or the other.
He had a fort in there, a tree fort that. Yep.
Fucking old boy killed the 250 with an SKS and nobody knows about it.
It's hanging in his barn.
He used the antlers as a spoon to cook his meth. No.
Yeah, it's probably cooking meth inside his skull or something weird.
Oh, that's wild.
Smoking EHD.
Different high, guys. It's different high.
Jon, we really appreciate you jumping on with us here, man. But before we cut you loose, why don't you tell everybody what drives you outdoors?
Oh man, gotta be my family. My kids and stuff are probably the biggest drive. Blake is now 13 years old, and I think he's getting more ate up with it than I am. And dude, seeing him succeed, it's probably going to be my biggest drive, dude. I don't know if you guys know the whole story, but this last year when he shot that big one, is a very unfortunate ending. We didn't find the deer till January, and come to find out the deer was only 40 yards from where he shot him. We just didn't look over there, didn't find any blood. And so that was a very unfortunate ending. So I kind of feel like it breaks my heart because I feel like I robbed him of that just because we didn't go back and look the next day. I was like, oh, you would have had your hero moment, with this giant deer, and it's my fault you didn't get that. He tells me every day it's not my fault, but, being a parent, you do feel like it's your fault. But now that we have him, though, that story's closed. He's got him. He's on the wall. Really makes me feel a lot better. But, yeah, he's definitely probably my biggest drive, dude. And my wife, the way that she supports me and all this, sure you guys probably know this too. If you don't have a supportive spouse, there's not much. I don't think that you can really do it.
Our boys at Working Class Bowhunters say you can't kill big bucks if you don't. If your wife you can't kill big bucks if your wife sucks. I mean, that's just the way that it goes.
Absolutely. When your wife's nagging at you to be home all the time, it puts a hinder on it. And especially, these last few years filming, and now this year being with Midwest Whitetail, she's just always like my driving force to like chase your dreams and do what you love to do. So that's a huge part of it.
Jon, can you tell everyone where they can find you if they want to follow along with what you got going on this season, or maybe check out some of the old stories or videos or whatever you got going on, Jon?
Yeah, I do have a YouTube channel. You just look me up, Jon Landwehr. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram, Jon Landwehr 88 on Instagram. And hoping this fall turns out really good, and you can start finding some of it on the Midwest Whitetail channel. Hopefully Chasing November. Hopefully there's a 200 on Chasing November everybody can watch.
Yeah, hopefully. Hey, another 200. This time we're going to get it on film. Third time's the lucky charm, right, Jon?
Damn right it is, bud.
Well, we really appreciate it, man, and thanks for taking the time with us, and we really appreciate all the listeners jumping on here and taking the ride with us right here on the Outdoor Drive.